Everybody. I wanted to do an impromptu live to talk about the newest members of the Baseball Hall of Fame, um, just announced. And so I wanted to take a moment and talk about those players that were elected to the Hall of Fame, those that just missed, and those who maybe were big misses. I'm also going to just kind of do a quick update on my current contest that's going on right now. So um, I look forward to interacting with you um, and looking forward to talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame announcements that have just come out that are out today. Um, all right, let's see. God is great. Hello from the rising sun of Japan. Awesome. Appreciate you joining. As well as Kevin's Models and Moors. Hello, Kevin. Appreciate you joining. All right. And Stukes is on. Stukes Baseball Cards and Curiosities. Did everybody hear the news about the Baseball Hall of Fame? We have 3 new members of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Right. Derek, appreciate it. Yes, let's go. I'm excited. As a baseball fan, there's not much more, uh, not much of a bigger honor than being elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. I know that there are a couple different school of thought out there. There's like the big hall, hey, let's let everybody in. And then there's a small hall. I'm probably somewhere in between. You can comment if you're big hall guys or small hall gals. Um, Again, there's no right or wrong, but it's fun to talk about. It's not like we get a vote. So, Kevin, you said, honestly, no, I just got off work. All right, well, we're going to get into those that were elected, and that is Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, and Todd Helton. So we have 3 new members, and Stukes says congrats to Beltre, Mauer, and Helton. I will echo that. Um, Congratulations to all 3. Um, I will be honest, okay? As I watched Beltre play, as I experienced his career, I didn't automatically just watch him and think he's a Hall of Famer. But when you look at the career that he put together, he's a Hall of Famer. Okay. So I gotta give it up to Beltre. Joe Mauer, another guy that kind of surprised me. Sorry, wow, tongue tied here. Um, that I think he's first ballot as well. I think him and Beltre are first ballot. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think both Beltre and Joe Mauer were first ballot. And so for them to both get in first ballot, that's huge. I'm looking at the percentages. Adrian Beltre, 95.1% of all votes. So that's huge. Uh, Todd Helton had the next highest. He was at 79.7%. And then Joe Mauer at 76.1. So Stukes says correct. So again, Beltre and Joe Mauer were first ballot Hall of Famers. And I know that there's some collectors out there that kind of focus on first ballot Hall of Famers, which I think that's awesome. Again, it's a cool way to collect because while the number of people in the Hall of Fame is super small compared to everybody that's ever played, there's still, I think we're up near 300, somewhere in that range, of players in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So it's a big number. And so if you need to kind of condense that and say, look, I'm going to collect Hall of Fame rookie cards, but of first ballot Hall of Famers, I think that's fantastic. So, but again, Beltre and Mauer first ballot. So that's impressive. You have to have 75% of the votes in order to make it. And so again, Mauer was close, 76.1%. Let's talk about who didn't get in. Okay. So who's somebody that you thought should have got in or was going to get in? I know there was a lot of talk about Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones, and Gary Sheffield. And some of the numbers that were being put out there prior to the official announcement, you know, for those Hall of Fame voters that voted publicly and shared their ballots, I think that, you know, there were a few players that were looking like they might get in based on those numbers, but obviously we got 3. So, hey, a collector's dream. Orlando joined. He says, hello, everyone. Hello, Orlando. I just, prior to this live, I just recorded my video response for your and Sammy Thunder's contest. So everybody who's listening to this live, watching this live, make sure you go check out Orlando, A Collector's Dream, and Sammy Thunder's contest. I'm excited about their live this coming Saturday, I believe, the 27th. We also have Ray from Philly that's joined us, says hello or hi to everybody. Ray, you've got to be pretty excited about the Hall of Fame announcement, as everybody, I think. But I know, you know, you're a Hall of Fame rookie card collector. All right, here we go. We've got Kevin's Models and Mores that says, what's the word on Schilling? Will he ever be eligible again? And I think he is not going to be eligible through the traditional Baseball Writers Association ballot, but he will be eligible through some of the other committees that they have. So as a D-backs fan, right? As a D-backs fan, I think Curt Schilling should be in the Hall of Fame. I know that he is not the most media-friendly, fan-friendly individual out there, but I think for his accomplishments on the field, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Ray from Philly says, yes, I was happy with Beltre, Hilton, and Mauer. Yeah, I was happy with them as well. I think that Hilton, he's a guy that I know I picked up an autograph of Hilton a year or two ago, and the thought was, is he going to make the Hall of Fame? He put up some great numbers throughout his career. I know some of the criticism or some of the talk about that as well. He played his entire year in Colorado at Coors Field. And so does that come into play when we look at Todd Helton's career numbers? Obviously, it didn't, right? Kevin says, I'm with you, D-backs all the way. Yes, I think looking back to that time period when it was Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling, and Schilling was great prior to the D-backs, and he was great after the D-backs. Um, let's see here. We've got Stukes that joins in and says Schilling has the highest WAR of players not in the Hall of Fame and not on the PED list. So again, great insight. WAR is a stat that I have really enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about. It's very interesting when you dig into it and you look at it across time. But it really, I think, helps you compare players to other players in their era, not necessarily players from different eras to different eras, but very interesting that he has the highest WAR of anybody not in the Hall of Fame, not on the PED list. And yes, Orlando Schilling has a big mouth. And that has cost him when it comes to, I think, being in the Hall of Fame. I think if he didn't have that big mouth, he would be in the Hall of Fame already. 3D 80s kids joined. Thank you so much. Appreciate you joining, John. Colby Wilson, my son, says that Pete Rose should have made it. Well, Pete Rose is not eligible, but there's certainly a lot of debate about Pete Rose and whether or not he will ever be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I know there's been talk about maybe when he passes away, it might be something that will happen. We'll see. But, definitely something that I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I think the majority of consideration should come from what they did on the field. And when you look at Schilling, when you look at Pete Rose, Joe Jackson, and there are others, for what they did on the field, I think that they should be in the Hall of Fame. So, all right. So who else? Let's see. We had Billy Wagner, 73.8%. So close, but he didn't make it into the Hall of Fame. Let me know in the comments, is Billy Wagner a Hall of Famer? What do you think? Is Billy Wagner a Hall of Famer? The next person on the list was Andrew Jones with 61.6%. So quite a drop there. And then we go into Carlos Beltran, 57.1%. Alex Rodriguez. So we really drop after that. Alex Rodriguez was next with 34.8%. But yeah, curious to see what your thoughts are on Billy Wagner. Is Billy Wagner a Hall of Famer? Again, he's not a player that when I watched him play, I thought, oh, he's a Hall of Famer. But then you look at the entirety of his career and you compare him to others in the Hall of Fame, other closers in the Hall of Fame, and that's where I think the case is made. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to some comments. We have Stukes, Baseball Cards and Curiosities, that says, in my opinion, Wagner makes it next year, maybe Jones too. Now, somebody remind me, does Billy Wagner have additional years where he's going to be on the ballot? I know he's been on the ballot for a while. I don't know if he's like in his 9th or if this was his 10th year on the ballot. But Kevin says Hall of Fame should honor players and abilities and accomplishments, not award for their beliefs or personality. Again, I think it should be the overwhelming factor is their accomplishments on the field. I know there's the what's I can't think of what the terminology is, but there's a part of the consideration that does go into the character of the individual, and so that's where they've made the stand against certain people. But again, I'm of the opinion that it should typically be for their accomplishments on the field. Orlando says no for Wagner, Jones, etc. So Orlando, you're happy with who was elected at this point, and I am as well. What drives me crazy about the Baseball Hall of Fame is that there are players out there. I read something earlier, and I think it was Billy Wagner that said in his first year of eligibility, he got like 13%. And then last year he was, I think, in the high 60s. And then this year we see him at 70, what did I say? 73.8%. So what has changed over that period? And I understand that those individuals voting only get 10 votes, but it's frustrating to me that somebody didn't think he was a Hall of Famer, 6-7 years ago, but now they think he's a Hall of Famer. So Poor Man Stacks, welcome. Thank you for joining. John, 3D 80s Kids, Wagner was one of the best at the job he performed. And that is a good point. You say we don't have a good case history yet for relievers. And that is true compared to all of the other positions out there. We have less of a track history with relievers. Now, again, when I watched him play, I didn't think that guy's a Hall of Famer. When I look at the entirety of his career and where he ranks among relievers at this point, I think that's where the case is made. John also pointing out that this was Wagner's 9th try, so next year would be his final year on the Baseball Writers Association ballot. So Ray confirming that he has 1 year left. Orlando says, I just prefer voting for an everyday player versus a pitcher. I think I know what you're saying there. The everyday players, their batting statistics haven't changed in the same way that pitchers have changed. I mean, if you look back, way back into baseball history, there were some 30-game winners. And then, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even into the 90s, you had 20-game winners, and that was a big deal. And now hardly anybody gets to 20 wins in a season, but it's not necessarily their fault. It's just how the game is played currently. So it makes it difficult to compare and judge pitchers. I totally get what you're saying, Orlando. Stukes says that Beltran has a chance as well. Yeah, I mean, again, he had a pretty good showing last year, I believe, and this year, 57.1%. It's definitely a possibility. Again, to me, I just think that it's strange that there are players that are going to gain votes. I get it. They can only vote for 10, so maybe that's the reason why. But I see ballots out there where they don't vote for 10, and so then to add somebody the next year, it just, well, what changed during that year period that now they have your vote when they didn't before? So it's interesting. Let's see. Kevin says, I haven't researched yet, but I'm willing to bet that there's an NFL Hall of Fame. Has included plenty of players that have sketchy lifestyles. That is true. Okay. Very, very true. So it is subjective a little bit. Going back, Orlando kind of elaborating on what he mentioned, and then I was talking about earlier. Pitcher's role now is definitely smaller. A few innings pitched every few days. So again, very different than it was even 20 years ago, right? When you think of Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson and those type of players who were pitching complete games, Nolan Ryan, that type of thing, very, very different in how they're used. A lot of that has to do with the money involved in today's game, but we could talk about that for a long time. 3D 80s kids. It's pretty recent that people realized wins is a stupid stat. Saves aren't any better. The numbers to judge pitchers fairly are not as sexy as hitters. You're absolutely right. And again, there's just less emphasis on pitchers throwing complete games, even going 6 innings, let alone a complete game now. But and then Kevin pointing out that pitchers don't even bat anymore. So again, that's something that the game has changed and evolved, and part of me is sad and part of me says, you know what, it's always evolved and changed. And I'm sure there were baseball fans in 1897 that were like, oh, I can't believe how much the baseball has changed in this particular way. And there were baseball fans in 1919 that were like, why is the ball flying out of the ballpark now? That's not the way baseball is supposed to be played. Well, the majority of baseball fans were just ecstatic over Babe Ruth and others hitting monstrous home runs, right? There have been different periods when speed has been a bigger factor. If you look back to the 70s and 80s with Maury Wills and then Lou Brock and Ricky Henderson and Vince Coleman, that was a much bigger part of the game. And now we've had some recent changes to the game that have led to an increase in stolen bases. John, 3D 80s kid, says pitchers, let's see. Pitchers are not hitting, takes away from the game. Best commercial of all time. Yes, this truly is one of the best commercials of all times. Glavine and Maddox, they're watching. I think it was Mark McGwire hitting home runs, and was it Heather Locklear that was in that commercial? And so then they're like training and doing batting practice in the cages, and then they get out there and that famous chicks dig the long ball. That was a fantastic commercial. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was a Nike commercial. But yes, one of the greatest commercials of all time. Kevin, fellow D-backs fans, saying, I understand why he did it, but Lavello would pull Merrill Kelly in the 6th before getting a personal record. But like you said, the game has changed. It absolutely has. And again, part of me understands it. I get the need for saving their arm due to their contracts and everything that's involved there. Um, but I also think back to, here's a name. Actually, he's probably played for your team because he's played for like 14 teams. Edwin Jackson. Edwin Jackson pitched a no hitter for the Diamondbacks, and I don't remember the actual number, but I want to say he threw like 130 pitches or something. Like he wouldn't come out, and whoever was the manager at the time didn't pull him. But he completed the no hitter. So every once in a while you'll get something like that, but that's pretty rare. And even that was, I don't know, a, a dozen years ago, something like that. But definitely things have changed, and so. Stukes says the game has changed and the Hall of Fame voters have changed. It will be interesting to see what the future brings for Hall of Fame voting. I am pleased with the different era committees and the things that they have in place there. I think that they almost acknowledge that there's some type of flaw with the Baseball Writers Association and the way that they vote. So there is this other alternative that's out there to allow those that maybe fall through the cracks to get the opportunity to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I think that that's, that's a good thing that they have that. God is great. He's saying, strike the like button, guys. I appreciate that. Thank you. God is great for your support here. And 3D80s kit. Okay, it was Heather Locklear, who was one of the biggest stars at the time. So again, to just combine them with, I think it was Mark McGuire that was in that video, maybe, or the commercial that Glavin and Maddox were watching. But I have a little collection that I call Chicks Dig the Long Ball, and it is of cards of Maddox and Glavin where they're batting. And so I have, I don't know, a dozen cards where either Maddox or Glavin are batting, and I have it as a little collection called Chicks Dig the Long Ball. So great reference there. All right, so again, thank you for joining me as I'm congratulating and talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame. I do want to do one quick plug for my contest that is currently going. Again, A Collector's Dream Orlando has a contest right now along with Sammy Thunder, so they have a co-contest. So check that one out. Check out Old Sarge Collects. He's got a contest that's going a few more days. I know there are some other contests out there right now as well. So I know it's a busy time for VRs, but if you have some time and can enter my contest, I would love to have you participate. You have a chance to win this card. It's a Babe Ruth bat card. Okay? That is one of the prizes. You can also win this Ken Griffey Jr. Jersey Auto. These are cards that will be given away. I'm giving away 5 different prizes. Here's a 2001 UD Reserve Albert Pujols rookie card numbered to 2,500. Here's a 72 Willie Mays. And a 1990 Leaf Sammy Sosa rookie card. Beckett graded 9. These are the 5 prizes that I'm giving out for my contest that's going on right now. All you have to do is a VR response where you talk about one of the players who's hit 600 or more home runs. That's it. I've had, I think, 22 people that have entered the contest so far. So thank you to each and every one of you. I know several of you that are on the live stream have done a VR response for my contest. So thank you to those who have done one already. If you haven't, you have through the end of the month to do the VR for my contest, I will be doing a live on February 1st to draw the winners. You don't have to be present in the live to win, but I would love to have everybody there. I will probably do some additional giveaways in the live. So not only will I give out those 5 cards, but there might be some other cards that I give out as well to those that are in the live. So definitely you want to be sure to put that on your calendar. Again, February 1st, as the contest goes through the first, goes through the end of the month. So, and then Eddie's Cardboard Chaos and John P. Collects Cards are other VRs. Yes. So again, thank you, John, for kind of pointing those out. I need to take a look at those. We've got to support each other in the sports card YouTube community, and VRs are a great way to do that. It gives us ideas for videos. It might be something that's not something that we would have thought of otherwise, but we get to share some cards, talk some sports, and support another YouTuber. And that's what, it's all about. So again, I appreciate everybody that has participated in this live. Thank you for watching and commenting. Congratulations to Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer on being our newest Baseball Hall of Famers. They will join Jim Leland in the induction ceremony this summer. So congrats to them. We've got some players who came awfully close, and maybe next year. And don't forget to participate in my contest, and hopefully you'll win one of those amazing prizes. Again, I've had 22 responses, and I've got 5 prizes. So you've got pretty good odds at this point. I would love to see that number increase and have more people participate. But if not, I'm okay with that as well. So thank you all, and you guys have a great night. Let's look at Marion Graham Jr., who says Andrew Jones and Dale Murphy. Must be a Braves fan. I'm seeing some Braves theme there. Andrew Jones is a player, again, that when I look at him and I look at the entirety of his career, some of those numbers are a little bit surprising. And he was fun to watch from day one. I will not forget watching whatever World Series that was with the Braves when he hit, like, he was the youngest player to hit a home run in the World Series history. So that was awesome. And I'm a huge Dale Murphy fan, have always been. He's a player who had a really good couple of years. Like, he was obviously the best player in the league as a 2-time NL MVP. And his career just kind of got impacted by injuries and whatnot. But I would love to see Dale Murphy in the Hall of Fame as well. But anyways, again, thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate your time. And I want to just kind of shout out Ripping for Rushmans, Ripping for Ravens. You said, like Zach Sports Cards and Collectibles says, do it for Dale, and Jones should be in too. Again, Dale Murphy, huge presence, I think, because the Braves were on TBS and everybody got to watch. I think most people would also agree that he was just an incredible person and still is, and has done some amazing things for the Atlanta community and things like that. But he had a great baseball career. And again, I don't know if he was back to back, but I know he won 2 MVP awards. So, you know, I think he ended with 398 home runs. So ending just short of 400, I think hurts him. You know, but it's 2 home runs. Does that really make the difference? Who knows? But um, again, thank you for joining. I'm going to go ahead and close out. Again, just another reminder to participate in the VRs and the contests and giveaways that are going on throughout the YouTube sports card community. It's a great way to be involved. It's a great way to support other channels. And you might win some awesome cards. So, again, thanks for watching. Everybody, have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.